one of the things about the streaming wars is that it's all going to become about, and we talked about this many times, exclusive content that you have on your platform. But then some platforms started taking some of their exclusive content, like Max, and licensing it out to other services like Netflix. And now, if you're somebody who wants to watch the DCEU catalog of films, Max isn't the only game in town now. You can now go to Netflix. And there are some people who want them to take that a little bit further. This is what's being said over at CBR. They write the following. Recently, it was reported that most of the films set in the DC Extended Universe would be coming to Netflix next month, from Man of Steel to The Suicide Squad. According to a subsequent report from What's on Netflix, 2 more DCU films are also set to be added in December, with Shazam and Black Adam joining the list. The report also notes last year's unconnected films, The Batman and The League of Super Pets, were also to hit Netflix as well. Others that are coming include Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, Justice League, Birds of Prey, and Wonder Woman 1984. So that is all a part of it. Now, this on one hand seems totally counterintuitive to the whole notion about how streaming services are going to be, and the streaming wars are going to be decided predominantly by who has the most and best exclusive content. But for somebody like Max, I think there is some wisdom in licensing out some of these movies to Netflix temporarily, because that's one of the things that it's highlighting and emphasizing in these reports, that these licenses are temporary. This is not in perpetuity, right? At some point, they're going to be exclusive back to just Max again. But for the time being, if you're Warner Brothers Discovery, you've got these DCEU movies sitting on your service, and they're not making you any money. They're just sitting there, and some people will come along and watch them now and again, I suppose. So what do? You offer a temporary license, and I don't know if it's going to be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 6 months. I don't know the term of it off the top of my head, but you offer this temporary license to Netflix. Netflix pays you a big-ass check for the right to stream those movies for a certain set period of time. So now those movies just made you a bunch of money. Also now, you have Netflix that is acting like your personal commercial. Netflix is now playing all this content that at some point is going to be exclusive to Max again. So you're making money off the content, and you are spreading awareness of your service through the content being out there. So there are some upsides for them doing this. Now, here's where it gets a little bit spicy. 2 of the things that have not gone over to Netflix are the Snyder cut of Justice League. It's just the regular theatrical version of Justice League. And I can't remember what it was called, the Ultimate Edition. There was a Batman versus Superman special director's extended cut. I can't remember what the specific name of it was. But those 2 things did not go to Netflix. Those Warner Brothers decided those 2 things are going to remain as exclusively here. And it's almost like they're putting out the theatrical version of Justice League on Netflix saying, hey, you know how you heard about that extended cut? Yeah, well, you got to come over to Max to come see that. So even then, it's on another level. It's pretty smart. But here's what's been happening, Kris. So a bunch of Snyderverse fans have seen Netflix getting it. Number one, they're complaining that Netflix isn't putting on the Snyder version of the Justice League when that wasn't Netflix's decision. That's Warner Brothers' decision to keep that exclusive. So they're getting mad at Netflix for no reason. But it started a big call from people online and the Snyderverse fans rallying again, calling on Netflix to purchase the rights to the DCEU films so that Zack Snyder can continue on his Snyderverse version of the DCEU. And it is crazy how big that conversation has become, because it can't happen. Like, I don't know how to break this to some people, but Netflix has a temporary license to stream some movies that belong to Max. The movies belong to Max, but more importantly, the DC properties belong to Max and to Warner Brothers Discovery. Just because you're streaming certain shows on your network does not mean you can do that. And even if Netflix were to acquire in perpetuity the streaming rights to those, DCEU movies, that still does not give Netflix the right to make movies with DC characters. So there is no such thing as Netflix being able to buy the rights. Even if Netflix bought the rights to these individual movies, which they can't, but even if they could, they still don't own the characters and they wouldn't be allowed to create their own content anyway. So let's just put that to rest, that no, folks, Netflix is not going to. What would have to happen here? Netflix would literally have to buy DC, period, the whole company. They would have to buy the company from Warner Brothers. Number one, Netflix isn't interested in buying that. Number two, Warner Brothers is no interest in selling it. So that's there. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Mint Mobile. Signing your life away to a big wireless provider is kind of like being trapped on a roller coaster from hell. Sure, it looks like fun at first. They probably even threw in a free phone, but now you can't get off. Month after month of insane bills and unexpected thrills, like overages and surprise fees. If that sounds like your current big wireless plan, it's time to get off the ride with Mint Mobile. For a limited time, wireless plans from Mint Mobile are just $15 a month. That's unlimited talk, text, and data for just $15 a month. You guys know before I came to Mint Mobile, I was paying triple what I am paying now on the standard big wireless plan, and I will never go back. All plans come with unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. To get your new unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped right to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. Anyway, Kris, it's kind of interesting in these days of the streaming wars to seeing something that is such prominent, exclusive content to one streaming service now being, even if it's temporary, licensed out to another service. We've seen some projects do that. We've seen some exclusive do this, but nothing at the high profile as the DCU. What do you think about this move that they're doing, and could we see more of this moving forward?
I think it's smart. They need money. We're all trying to recoup cost right now. And Warner Brothers in particular has been on a huge hack and slash, right? Let's cut costs where we can. Let's take tax breaks where we can. So licensing out things does make sense to me, especially if they're not your super exclusives, right? Hey, you can watch this version of it, but this special director's cut, this deluxe version, we'll keep that to ourselves. So you get a little taste. But then when you want the good, come over this way, right? Now, I'm going to take a big drink because Snyderverse people. You guys, let him move on. Let him move on. He's moved on. Why can't you? I love if you love the Snyderverse. I love that for you. If you are a huge, Dawn of Justice, Batman v Superman fan, that's great. Wonderful. You can still watch those movies. But he's not even wanting to do this stuff anymore. He's got Rebel Moon coming out, that big epic. He's got Twilight of the Gods coming out. He has a production company with his wife, Deborah. He has other things to do. And for me personally, and again, if you like the Snyderverse stuff, that's great. For me, it was always style over substance.
Yeah.
And while I love some of his other films, his, Dawn of the Dead, his 300, things like that, I even have a little bit of a soft spot for Sucker Punch.
It was a great looking movie.
I know.
But you know what?
It was a great looking movie.
I actually kind of liked his Army of the Dead. I know Rob didn't like that. I know there were a bunch of people that I got a kick. I mean, I didn't think it was a great movie, but I got a kick out of that movie. I thought it was pretty fun.
There's fun stuff, and he does cool stylistic things. But I think one of the great things about Zach is that he has tried different kind of genres and put his own spin on it. And gosh, this was a decade ago that we were doing these movies? So many things have happened since then. So much new IP is out. So many things. So I think if you're a true Zack Snyder fan, personally, give him the grace, the permission, the go-ahead to do something else. Because if you love his work, then really show it and let him do new things. Because as a director, that's probably the most exciting thing you can do. Really try new stuff. Go explore new IP or original IP like Rebel Moon. So that's my 2 cents on it. I think we just need to kind of put the whole Snyderverse to bed.
I am very curious to see Rebel Moon. Like I'm
so curious.
I'm not going to say I'm excited for it because frankly, I don't think the trailer was all that good, but I think the premise sounds really interesting. So I kind of feel the same way about it. Like I feel like the Marvels that we're both going to go see today.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to pretend I'm excited for it, but I am very interested. And I'm really, really curious to see how this Rebel Moon, because they're talking about doing an animated spinoff of it and all this kind of stuff too. They seem to be really, doubling down and kind of going all in on this Rebel Moon thing. So I'm going to be really curious to see how that goes. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.